Welcome to the 7th episode of Zooming In with Gen Z. I'm your host, Haley Taylor Schlitz. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. Happy Independence Day weekend. I hope after this you all go out and enjoy yourselves. Black TikTok creators boycott Megan Thee Stallion for cultural appropriation. This is interesting. Hear this quote from My San Antonio. What you don't see a lot on TikTok is Black creators being credited for their dances that are usually ripped off by white creators. In March, for example, TikTok star Addison Rae appeared on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon and performed multiple TikTok dances and didn't acknowledge a single Black creator, according to Mendez. Rae and Fallon were immediately met with some pretty fair criticism across social media. Fallon, in turn, decided to invite the Black creators on the show via Zoom. Maybe he decided to begin reinforcing COVID-19 protocols? Who knows? This is why it's so important to give DC or dance credit in your caption or comment section. It's not that hard at all. It takes nothing away from you or your video, and it only earns you more respect and appreciation. There are plenty of likes to go around. I promise you, giving dance credit and creator credit won't make you lose a thing. It only benefits you and helps you avoid things like this. Also, Jimmy, honestly, you should have flown the Black creators out to be live on your show. You're The Tonight Show. You have the resources. Jimmy, do better. Moreover, millennials, Gen Z and the housing market. Yes, get ready. Generation Z is preparing to enter the housing market over the next few years. Hear this quote from Realtor.com. Almost 3/4 of this cost-conscious generation, currently aged 18 to 25, would prefer to own a home rather than rent one, according to the recent Realtor.com survey. That's likely because it can be more financially beneficial to own and build wealth rather than deal with the escalating rents each year. And this generation is known to be careful with their money. They don't plan to waste much time becoming homeowners. About 43% hope to purchase their first abode within the next 5 years. Another 44% anticipate doing so within the next 5 to 10 years. More than 700 members of Generation Z who haven't yet bought homes participated in the survey. It was conducted from March 26th to April 7th. This generation is by and large not in the market yet, says Realtor.com senior economist George Ritui. However, they already see the financial benefits of investing in real estate. Given how young they are, this level of financial maturity is applaudable. This generation isn't being tempted by expensive city life. It seems like a lot of us plan on buying a home we can afford. I can't wait to watch as Gen Z becomes a bigger percentage in areas like this. The statistics 10 years from now will be fascinating. How much will Gen Zers be worth after good investments like this? The money we'll save by buying homes, we can invest other money in other areas. I hope somebody does that research one day. Plus, think of all the housewarming parties that will be happening in the next few years. Are you ready to help your friends celebrate their new homes? Hey, Target, Walmart, and Amazon, you may want to start thinking about how you will reach out to Gen Z to help us celebrate the new homes of our friends. The soothing, slightly sinister world of productivity hacks. Get this, a quote from Vox. Before starting this job, I blew $50 at CVS on neon gel pens, leather-bound notebooks, and felt tip highlighters because a TikToker told me they'd make me enjoy working more. In the past month, I haven't used a single one. The TikToker in question, at Study Notes Ideas, is an 18-year-old with nearly 650,000 followers who produces content for the overstressed and underprepared student. Each video is shot at her desk, which features a bubblegum pink keyboard, a collection of rainbow gel pens, and a peek at her greeting card-esque handwriting. She tells us which pens you need for seamless notes, no smudging, study methods that guarantee results, active recall, and gadgets that prevent procrastination. Her shtick is gently intimidating and reminds me of when you'd ask the overachiever in your history class for the notes you missed. I myself love to be organized and productive. I have a huge whiteboard in my room that helps me keep my life in order. I have different colored pens and Post-its to help me with law school. I also know we all love to watch these types of videos. I'm sure they're really helpful at times. But can we also remember that we don't need influencers to tell us how to live every moment of our lives? Look, we don't have to compare ourselves to every TikTok video that is put out there. Your productivity is your style, and it can take time to develop a system that works best for you. So use Productivity Talk to get some ideas. But remember that productivity is about what works for you. Understanding how you best organize yourself is key to being productive in school or work. One of the things I love about being part of Generation Z is that there are so many of us out here changing the world. Most of the time, you don't hear about them, even as they are breaking down barriers and making history. Let us do one thing wrong and it is all over the news. But let us shatter a barrier and you likely hear very little about it. Today, I am so happy to have with me a member of Generation Z who recently made history. He is 18 years old. He is a college senior. That is already amazing. But now listen to this. A few weeks ago, he was hired to be the district director / chief of staff for a member of the Fort Worth City Council. When Fort Worth's youngest Councilmember Dr. Jared Williams, aka Councilmember Millennial, took his oath of office a few weeks ago, he immediately made history by appointing Kendall Locke as his district director. Some people may ask, what does an 18-year-old know that makes him qualified to hold such an important position? The answer is simple. He has the experience and his age does not define his expertise. So let's welcome this history maker, Mr. Kendall Locke, to our discussion on public policy, the importance of voting, and making history. Kendall, thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me, Haley.
Of course, thank you for joining us. I think that we should jump right in and start off our conversation with a dive into how you created this path for yourself. You're 18 years old and a college senior at the University of North Texas. How did you get on this path to early college?
So actually, I was preparing to go into high school. It was my 8th grade year. And so the district that I was in, Crowley ISD, they had announced that they're having this new ECHS program. And I didn't know what ECHS, early college high school, was at the time. But I said, you know what? I am able to obtain my associate's degree as well as my high school diploma at the same time, and I don't have to pay for college. I would be a fool not to jump on that. So I went ahead and I enrolled in the program, and from there, it was just, literally my life changed. Just the opportunities that came from me joining that program, and then ultimately me graduating last year in June of 2020 with earning both my high school diploma and associate's of arts degree. It's putting me so far ahead, and it's allowing me to do the things that I'm doing now. And so the early college high school foundation really allowed me to do what I'm doing now.
Fascinating. Is early college high school different from dual enrollment, or is it like a different term for that practice?
So in ways it differ depending on the district. Most times for certain districts you have with dual credit, you're not able to take as many classes as you would take in an early college high school program. So you may be limited to 30 credits with dual credit, whereas with early college high school, I was able to earn 63 credits and actually graduate with the associate's degree. So that's the key difference, because with the early college high school, you earn the degree, whereas dual credit, you just have some of those credits.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So you're at UNT. What are you majoring in at UNT, and why did you pick that major?
So my major is political science, and I'm minoring in criminal justice. I've always been fascinated with politics, and over the years, it has continued to grow and evolve. And of course, I can say me being interested in politics wants or is going to evolve into me wanting to run for office one day. But I really want to know everything about politics. I want to know the historical context. I want to know, the theories behind it. And I just wanted to get a deeper understanding of everything around the political field, just outside of politics, because it's so many moving parts that plays a role in just the overall political science. And so that was kind of the key in me deciding to choose that major. I knew that it was going to unlock the opportunity for me to do different things in the future, whether that was public policy, whether that was running for office, or whether that was just actually teaching political science. So, and it's been fun ever since I chose it.
Good. So it's been, you are happy with your decision. You like that major. It was everything you hoped it would be.
Not everything.
Oh.
So, it's definitely a great major, I will say that. But there are some classes that, I'm thinking, okay, I know everything about politics. I'm going to do this major. It's going to be super easy. And then came last semester when I took my first theory class and I said, oh my God, paper every week, discussion, you're having 5 discussions a week, it's just, so it was a lot. But we made it work.
Yeah, this sounds like a lot. Oh my gosh. Okay. Your academic success is really, really amazing. But let's talk about your path as an activist. When did you first start getting involved in community and public policy issues?
So community issues really around 5th grade when I went to intermediate school. The district kind of wrapped me and kind of made me, I guess you could say, their student spokesperson, to say the least. And so I did a lot with my district as far as recruitment for the different programs of choice and innovative programs that we had across our district. And so then that translated into me eventually moving to the political arena and working on campaigns starting my 9th grade year with campaigns on the local, state, and then most recently the federal level on a congressional race. And so over time, it's continued to evolve, but it really started as far as the community aspect in 5th grade, heavily involved, and then the politics and just overall public policy kind of came that 9th grade year. But I've always been a servant leader at heart, whether that was through church, whether that was through, things that me and my family did. I've always been about the community, and that's something that will always remain.
Wow. 5th grade, 9th grade. What made you stand up and say, I may be young, but my voice matters?
It was me, one, just understanding that I had so much potential, and that was one, understanding that I had that potential. But then 2, and this is the one that really kind of drives everything that I do, but realizing that what I was doing was inspiring someone else. And so when I began to see other people who was in grades, I was in 8th grade and I had people in 7th and 6th and 5th grade that, would look up to me or say, hey, we saw you doing this, or we saw you on the news, or we saw you, it would light me up, and it would continue to keep the fire inside of me burning. And so just me knowing that I'm making an impact on not just the world, because of course we have to start with our community first, but realizing that I was making an impact on my peers and my friends and my everyday people that I was in contact with. It just has been something that continues to push me and make me go the extra mile. But then also too, realizing that age isn't nothing but a number. At the end of the day, regardless of if I'm 18 or if I'm, 81, I still have the potential to encourage someone, inspire someone, to educate someone. And age isn't that barrier that limits me from doing what I have the, possibility to do. So.
Absolutely. I hope our viewers are getting inspired by this. Age is nothing but a number. Find your passion and definitely execute on it. So I am inspired. So I hope our viewers are inspired too. Speaking of our viewers and people who listen to our stories, I get asked by adults about my own journey and how did it hurt my socialization. Recently, I have been asked about my relatability to my peers in Gen Z. What do you say to older people who feel you're going too fast, or think that who say that older people, they think that you're not going to be relatable to your peers because of your journey or your accomplishments at your age?
And I get that a lot. That's funny that you said that. Actually, before I took the position as district director, and I had numerous conversations with different people, and that was one of the things. You're going too fast. Oh, you could probably do it, but just stay in school. Just finish that. You shouldn't. So I've received that all my life, and how I combat that is at the end of the day. I'm doing something that I know is operating in my purpose. And it goes back to me knowing that, age isn't really anything but a number. I can start creating change and I can start acting on my purpose as young as I want to. And so just because I want to get in the game a little sooner than other people may traditionally, get in the game, that's totally up to me, and that's totally my decision. I feel like, God has blessed me with numerous opportunities. And so I look at everything as a blessing and as an opportunity. And so if I have the opportunity to jump on something and to be included in something and to really be able to be in a place where I can elevate my voice and elevate the voice of my peers, I'm going to jump on that. And as far as the relatability piece, I don't think that there's been a change. Sometimes I talk to my friends and they say, okay, you're doing this, or you're too busy to do this or that or whatever. But at the end of the day, I have a story that I can tell. And the story is one that's relatable. It's one that can help people, in the community, those younger than me. And it's something that will stick for the rest of my life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I hope our adult listeners are hearing and really, really registering that, because I agree. And that's really important to understand. Speaking of like your journey, did you think your journey would lead to this point of taking an important position in the Fort Worth City government at 18? Did you see this coming? Was this part of a plan?
No, it was never a part of a plan. And me and Jared are council member doctor or council member will millennial, whatever we want to use, whatever we want to use with that. I never did think that I would be offered this position. And honestly, I will be very transparent with you. I said no when I first got offered the position. We were there. It was election night. I remember you were there. Of course, it was just crazy when we found out that we won. Mm-hmm. And he said, I want you to be my district director. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. But I think a lot of times, and this may tie into some other things that you want to ask, but I think a lot of times us as Gen Z and as young people, we operate from a spirit of fear. So we have to realize that when we get offered those opportunities, it's all for a reason and it's all according to a plan. And even though we may not see it, us taking on that opportunity and us taking on that challenge will only elevate us to something bigger and something greater. And so, those were some of the things that I had to think about because, of course, I did think on this. I didn't instantly say yes. It was thinking that was going on, but us just realizing that if we move past the fear factor, what are the reasons why you would say no? And that's really what it boiled down to was, why would I say no to this opportunity? And really, when I looked at that, it was because of what other people would say or how other people would feel or look at, me taking this role on at 18 and still being in college. So moving past that, I took it and I said, yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see a bunch of hearts and love in the chat, and I love that too. I guess a follow-up question, what is that what made you change your mind, really reflecting on the opportunity and asking yourself why you wanted to say no? Or was there something else or some other discussion that triggered you switching to a yes?
So it was really that. It was really reflection, because it took some time, and I really reflected on it. I had conversations with different people, but I reflected on it, and my decision after reflecting at first was, you know what, I'm just not going to do it. I'm super grateful for the opportunity, but I'm not. But then I had a conversation with my mom, and she said, you've done so much in the community. You have paved the way for so many younger people. And now it's kind of your time to, operate in your gift and to, start doing the things that you love to do. And so her support, along with other family members and just me really sitting there reflecting on it, led to me, saying yes. And I think that's one of the things that we have to do. Don't be afraid when you're offered different opportunities to say, let me think on it or let me reflect. Because it's needed, and you have to think about all those different, outcomes and things that can come from that opportunity. Just don't overthink it. And I think that's where we get caught up in, or what we get caught up with, is overthinking different opportunities that we're giving and different possibilities that ultimately leads to us turning down something that was going to play out to be something, great for us in the long term, in the long run.
Absolutely. I hope our viewers are really, really picking up on these pearls of wisdom. My gosh. So speaking about the job, it's so good you said yes. And so because you said yes, you've been on this job for a couple weeks now. How have the other staff in the city treated you? Do you think that they see you as an 18-year-old, or do you think they see you as the district director for a council member?
So I think it's split. I am definitely not new to the city of Fort Worth, and so a lot of people know that I have been active,
Yeah.
for years throughout the city and doing different things. So a lot of people, they view me as a district director. When I'm in meetings with Councilmember Williams, we have those meetings and we're asking those questions, and it doesn't feel odd. There was a few city staff members that that first week of transition, they were a little shocked about his choice, but we're continuing to roll with it. And I think with the strides that we've already made since being in office, I think people, they realize that this was a choice that is a strategic choice, but a choice that is good for our district.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know it's only been a couple weeks. I think we were talking earlier, like 2 weeks exactly, like yesterday. I was just wondering, have there been any funny stories so far about holding the position at 18? Like, what did your parents say when you told them that you were offered the job? I know you mentioned your mother earlier. What about your friends? Like, any stories?
So, okay, any funny stories? None from really my family or friends, but I will tell you a funny story. Literally, and it was when Councilmember Williams announced, and he was councilmember elect at the time, when he announced that I was coming on as his district director, I got a call and they said, "Hi, Kendall, realize you're the district director. We're glad to see you in that position. I have a problem. We're having a problem with egrets, which are birds. They're a certain kind of bird that are federally protected birds. And so that has been kind of what has been driving my workload for the past few weeks. I've been dealing with birds, but we're working on some plans and some solutions. But yeah, it's funny. I would have never imagined that my first, thing in working in the government and public government would be dealing with birds. But hey, we're dealing with them.
That is crazy. Birds of all things. Yeah, I would not have expected that either. Okay, so part of your story was having someone older than you, being able to step back and see that your age should not define your abilities and experience. How important is it for Gen Z members to have someone like Councilmember Dr. Williams being willing to support us?
Oh, it means everything. And we have to have those people. And I think that's why it's great that you surround yourself with, mentors and people that will advocate on your behalf. Because honestly, yes, we can create, pathways for success for ourselves, and we can do different things to put us ahead. However, you're always going to have someone in your corner that can speak to the different things that you've done in the community, the different things that we know that you can do. So you have to surround yourself with those individuals. But then too, making sure when you surround yourself with that individual, making sure that you are doing the things that you need to do, making sure that you're following up, making sure that you're showing up, making sure that you're letting your presence be known, and making sure that you're shaping your presence in a way that is suitable, and that is in a way to where you can actually move up in these different professional spaces, and not just in the professional arena, but just all throughout life, because you're going to have someone who is there in your corner that genuinely can advocate for you. So I think it is, it's all important, because honestly, without Councilmember Williams, and just other people who I've surrounded myself with throughout my path of life, yes, have I always been a great leader? I have. However, some of these opportunities would have been a little delayed or denied, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of like building that village, what mentors did you have or still have in your life, and do you lean on them often?
Oh yeah. So one of my biggest mentors is Vincent Adams. He's actually he has a State Farm agency. So he's an insurance guy, and he has been a key mentor, in addition to other individuals. But he's been a key mentor in just shaping what true professionalism is. Just how you carry yourself when you're at different events. And so he's just kind of been someone that I lean on, constantly. And we may not talk every single day, but when we talk, I know that I'm going to get a good lesson and I'm going to get some valuable gems. So he's definitely appreciated.
Yeah, and that is so important. Like, do you have any tips for other Generation Z members who are watching on how to develop their mentor network? Because it's so important.
So I would just say know that a mentor doesn't have to be someone that is a celebrity, someone that makes X amount of dollars, someone who has, been doing this for X amount of years. A mentor is someone that, like I've been saying, can advocate on your behalf and someone who truly cares about your success and wants to see you succeed in life. And so continue to do the things that you're doing. Continue to ensure that you're holding yourself in a professional light and seeing yourself past what the, typical stereotypes are. And honestly, they will come. I always say that the best mentors are the one that, they come, they come to you. You shouldn't have to force someone on you to be a mentor. But if you're doing the things that you're supposed to be doing and you're holding yourself and making those different strides, both academically, professionally, and all those different realms of life, they'll come to you. But just do what you need to do and know that, you are a brand. You're a walking brand. And so you want people to perceive you in a great light.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys hear that? You're a walking brand. Make sure that you always think of that before you post things, say things, do things. That is really, really important.
That is.
So, it is. And so, like you just mentioned, like a mentor is not always a celebrity. And I absolutely agree. They're not necessarily even always the best representative of what field you want to go into. And I really, really like how you said that mentors, they shouldn't be forced. They should be willing to come to you. So what advice would you give older people on how to be a mentor and how to advise Gen Z members as we start our careers?
So I would say no, and always come from a place of, and I'm going to get real with you on this one, don't hate, because I think a lot of times we see Gen Z, you, Haley, I'll say myself, I know some other people, we're making great strides for our age. And a lot of people are intimidated by that. So one, if you want to mentor someone, be genuine in your intentions, and do everything possible to connect that your mentee with those opportunities. If you're going to, a luncheon and you know that there's going to be key people there in a field that your mentee, is looking to go into, invite them and tag them along. If you know that you're sitting in a meeting and someone is looking for a new intern for this particular area, mention their name. And so a mentor is someone who can support you while you're in their face, when you're not in their face, and someone that just genuinely cares about your success. And so caring about your mentee's success is in all different perspectives and all different ways, but just really being that person that is showing up for your mentee and that is advocating on their behalf.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I hope that people who are successful in their own fields and want to be mentors are listening to that, because that is very important. That's key, actually. So switching it up just a little bit, what do you think are the most pressing issues for Gen Z?
Wow. What are the most pressing? So I think pressing is honestly how are we going to navigate through life? Honestly, I think we've had a lot that has happened within the past few years. And then I think most recently with COVID and coming out of COVID and adjusting to a brand new way of life, even with those that are just now entering high school, just now entering college, just now entering graduate programs, whatever that looks like. And so I think, how do we navigate through life? How are we going to feel about once we finish college? Am I able to get a job that's paying me well? Am I able to find suitable housing? Am I able to, start a family? And so the issues for Gen Z, in my opinion, aren't necessarily completely policy related. I think some of them, as far as policy around Gen Z, of course, making sure that we're seeing equity and equality in different things, and making sure, of course, some of those things are being taken care of on those different levels of government. But I think honestly, it's just how we're going to make it through life and how we're going to navigate through that and how we're going to be successful. Because of course, that's the piece a lot of people don't talk about. We talk about, go get a college education and then everything is going to come to you. But we don't talk about what are those lifestyle skills that you need in order to thrive and to be that, that full circle person that is making an impact, because that's what it's all about. And we're all placed here to make an impact, whether that's someone, in your community and someone who you grew up with, or whether that's, you being in the White House one day and making an impact on the world. Absolutely. And it's fascinating you say that, because
literally just earlier in this episode, we were talking about Gen Z and the housing market. So
Yeah.
like I like agree with you. I think that a big thing on Gen Z's mind right now is really getting their lives started, especially since we're at that age, 18 to 25, where we're either like entering college, and that's a huge transition, or 25, where you graduated college, maybe you're in grad school or looking for that house or that job. So I absolutely see what you're saying. Yeah.
For sure.
Like, what do you think about like voting? What do you say to members of Gen Z who believe that voting doesn't matter?
I'll tell you, it does matter. Voting has a direct impact on your everyday life, and it's not just about the president. I saw so many people back in 2020 when I was out working the polls for different candidates, and I saw so many of my classmates come and say, "Okay, I'm about to go vote for this person for president." And I was like, "Okay, but do you not know that there's like 15 other people on your ballot?" And they're like, "Oh, well, I'm just skipping them." I'm like, "No, you're not about to skip all of those people." So it's one, just realizing that government and just voting has a direct impact on your life, but then also two, looking past that, knowing and understanding that we have to be involved. I think a lot of times we get out, we protest, we see different issues that are happening in our community, and we let it die there. So we don't put any action towards our activism. And so just making sure that we are showing that action, making sure that we are staying consistent, understanding that, being involved doesn't look one particular way. It is, defined by, you as an individual, and it's all personalized. But really understanding that there are so many things that are voted on across this country and across the state, across our counties and our cities. So understanding that, we have to, vote so that we can, one, send a message and a clear message to, the world, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like, as I hear you talk, I just get more and more inspired, and you're crazy impressive. And I hope that our viewers are really appreciating that. And so, like, speaking of our viewers and speaking of you being absolutely incredible, I know everyone wants to know, like, what are your goals? Earlier, you were mentioning elected official. Will we see you as like a council member, member of Congress, senator, governor, president, maybe?
Yeah. Hey, I think y'all can expect to see me as all of that. I think right now I have a great opportunity to start building some more of those connections across our city and really just across our state. And so I'm looking to move that further along the line. And so what position that will look or what position that will be in the future, I'm not quite sure, but this definitely, won't be where I stop. And so I think within the next 10 years, you can see something different for Kendall Locke. So
I'm so excited, and I hope our viewers are too. You guys keep an eye out for Kendall Locke. That name is going to be key. Okay, now, last question, just a quick fun question or two. Like, number one, what's your favorite movie? And then number two, when we're in Fort Worth, where are the best spots that we can eat?
Okay, so what is my favorite movie? Y'all are probably going to say he is so goofy. Norbit. And every time I watch that movie, I crack up the entire movie. And I'm actually probably going to watch it tonight because it looks like it's supposed to be raining. So I'm planning on chilling for the rest of the day. So Norbit is the favorite movie. And when you're here in Fort Worth, where should you go eat? Okay, so if you want some good Mexican, go to Papacitos. Fajitas, enchiladas, you're locked. If you want a good salad, go to Doc B's in Clear Fork. It's amazing. You want some good barbecue, Railheads, Ham Barbecue, you won't miss it. You want a good burger, Rodeo Goat. I can go on and on, but yeah, hey, you see my handles down there. If you want to learn more, hey, hit me up. I'll give you the Fort Worth exclusive.
Please. I love talking about food. So I will definitely be hitting you up after about food spots. Like, I'm going to hold you to that. Well, thank you, Kendall, for taking time to talk with us today.
No, thank you. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for the work that you're doing, both, here locally and just, nationally, to bring attention to, Gen Z and the issues that face our community.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you were able to join us.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, we celebrate the barrier you broke and appreciate how you are demonstrating to the world the full potential of Gen Z members, Kendall. Your story and accomplishments alone will definitely help counsel the rest of us as we navigate our journeys. See what I did there? Counsel, Okay, as usual, we will close out our show with a segment called Zooming In. Let's take a look at who's being magnified for being magnificent. Today is National Crown Day. What is Crown Day, you ask? It is a day that we celebrate our natural hair and bring attention to policies and laws that discriminate against natural hair at school, work, and everywhere in our society. There are far too many stories about Gen Z students being discriminated against for wearing their natural hair. DeAndre Arnold was not allowed to participate in his high school graduation because of his dreadlocks. We have Gen Z members going to schools where policies are in place that say our natural hair is not allowed. I have my undergraduate degree in education from Texas Women's University. I can assure you that at no time during my college courses in education, we were taught that having policies that attack students on their DNA and how their hair grows from their bodies made for a great and conductive learning environment. For the past few years, the Crown Coalition has worked diligently to pass laws across the nation to end discrimination against our natural hair. California was the first state to pass the Crown Act. Thank you so much, former State Senator Holly Mitchell. Now we are 13 states that have made the Crown Act law. In my home state of Texas, State Representative Retta Andrew Bowers is leading the fight with her House Bill 392. In Congress, Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Coleman, Barbara Lee, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, and Gwen Moore have authored legislation to make the Crown Act law in our nation. Behind this drive is a dedicated group of organizations and people working to make this happen. This group consists of the Crown Coalition, Dove, National Urban League, Color of Change, and the Western Center on Law and Poverty. Gen Z, we say we care about companies and organizations doing the right thing. We say we value what they stand for just as much as the products and services they sell. Today, I want to zoom in on these organizations that are standing up for us to end discrimination against our natural hair. Your Zoom call to action? We showed in the 2020 election that when we unite, our voices can create change. We can make the Crown Act law by standing together and letting elected officials everywhere know that we will not accept discrimination against our DNA and our natural hair. Go online today and post your picture of your crown and use the hashtag #PassTheCrown. Visit the Crown Act website and support their work. Make a TikTok about your crown and tell your friends to support the Crown Act. Gen Z, we can do this. Look at that. Episode 8 of Zooming is 7. 8's in 2 weeks from now, but episode 7 of Zooming In with Gen Z is wrapping up. Thanks so much for joining today. I hope you all have a nice rest of your weekend. If you know, you know. If you don't, well, I'll tell you. Come back in 2 weeks for episode 8, 2 p.m. Central Time, same place. You already know we'll have some pretty interesting stories and a really awesome interview. A shout out of thanks to Citizen Ed for providing us this platform to talk about the issues we care about. See you guys in 2 weeks. All right, how do I zoom out on this thing?